Hey, what's up, you guys? Coach Joey coming in. It's February 15th. It's Monday. It's around lunchtime, coming up on noon. Wanted to come in with a message for today, and we're going to add on a little bit to what we talked about last week when we talked about staying motivated. So if you weren't able to tune in last week, we talked about progress over time and then some people's misconceptions. So I'm going to make a graph here. And like I said, if you tuned in last week, you saw this, but I'm just going to review it. So we have progress up top, and we have time down here. Most of the time when people are working on something or trying to improve, whether it's fitness related, their business, their relationship, whatever it is, they typically expect your progress over time to look like this. You just think automatically, because you're working and because you're putting in the time, that you're going to get better day in and day out and day in and day out. And although that it's a great message and we do want to try to improve as much as we can on a daily basis, it typically doesn't work like this. So what we talked about is when we look at that line, and the line's a little bit more linear. So we end up at a starting point, we have a line, then we have a little bit of an increase, then maybe a drop, and then another line, then we maybe have a little bit of an increase, and then a drop, maybe another line, a little bit of an increase and a drop, and another line. Now, looking at this is a little bit more linear. It's not just shooting up day in and day out, day in and day out. So if you need the information from what we talked about last week, you could go back to our last video and go ahead and look at that. But what I want to talk about today is how do we get through these times of plateau. And I was thinking about it today, and usually you're left with 4 different options. During this time period is always going to be a test for you, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, personal, professional, whatever it is, you're going to be tested during this time. This time is always good. This time is a test. This is where you're made. This is where your wits, everything about you is made during this time. So first option that you could think about is you could quit. You could give up. You could stop working towards that goal. It's too hard. You could look at yourself in the mirror and accept the fact that you're not going to be able to grow anymore from where you currently are and stop there. And you may even end up with a decline at that point. Typically, we're not going to see that. I'm not going to support that. We're not going to talk about that because that's just bad all the way around. The second thing that a lot of people get involved in, I'm going to use a fitness analogy, is we look for the quick fix. So I get this a lot. People start in the gym, they get their nutrition on track, they're doing good, 6, 8, 12 weeks, they lose 15 pounds, maybe 12 weeks goes by, and then they can't lose any weight, 4 more weeks go by and they're the same. I hear, Joey, this isn't working, I don't know what I can do, I need to do more cardio, can I do with my diet, and they're looking for that thing that's gonna make a quick change because they got to here and then they drop back down, and now they're here. And they're having a hard time realizing that they're going to have to spend some time here before they go back up. So what do? The 24-day challenge, the body cleanse, the fasting, I'm going to start running 3 miles every day. They try to do all these things that are going to give them a quick fix. And typically you're going to get some result at that point. So maybe you get that upward movement again in the right direction. But I can almost guarantee you that once that fades, it's not going to be sustainable and you're going to end up coming back down somewhere. So don't be fooled by this and don't fall for this, whether it's finances or whatever the case is, playing the lotto, anything you want to think about, there's no quick fix. So here's a good analogy, finance-wise. You need some money. Payday's Friday. It's Tuesday. What do? You go to a cash advance place. They give you an advance on what your check is. What ends up happening? When you go to pay them back, you're paying them more money than you actually borrowed. Does that make sense? It's a quick fix. It fixes a problem right then. It gives you a shot in the upward direction. But at some point, you're going to be paying points on whatever it took you to get there, whether it's nutrition, your relationships, finances, anything, business. There's no quick shot up without coming back down at some point. It's typically not sustainable. Do people get lucky every once in a while? Maybe, but across the board, not sustainable. The third one is another one of the bad ones that I want to talk about. And this is a tough one for a lot of people. Recently I read a book, it's called Good to Great. One of the toughest things that people have to deal with is getting to a place where they're good and they're not willing to continue to push to the point of greatness. Meaning that, let's say you're somebody who is 40 pounds overweight. You start training. You've gone through a couple of these humps. So here we are, 40 pounds overweight. Here we are at our goal. We have 0 overweight. So we're about right here. And let's say there's 15 more pounds to go. And you get comfortable. You're excited about your achievements up until this point. You got 15 pounds to go, so that means you've lost 25 pounds. You're feeling good about yourself. You feel good, and you become content. And because you become content, you don't do the work that is necessary to bring yourself all the way up to your goals. And this is the hardest position for a lot of people, because you get to a certain place and you realize, well, I've come this far, I'm not unhappy, and I'm just gonna sit here. I'm gonna continue to do okay things, but I'm not gonna continue to keep pushing towards my goal. I always like this analogy. You guys, if you don't know who Mark Cuban is, he owns the Dallas Mavericks, multi-billionaire. That dude gets up and he goes to work every day. Not because he has to, because he knows that if he just gets comfortable and stops here, he can never work another day in his life and die with more money than most people on the planet. But because he chooses not to settle on good, not to become content with his current position, he's always bringing himself up. And this is the hardest one to deal with. So the last thing, the fourth thing that you can do is you're here. Realize that you've made a commitment to yourself to get to your goal. Whatever the sentence is, you look in the mirror and you tell yourself every single day what it's going to take for you to get there. Anytime you feel like wavering, you remind yourself of why you're putting in that kind of work. Anytime there's a doubt that you're going to get to your goal, don't think about this current situation and don't think about where we're going to be here. Look here and look where you started from and use that as motivation. All right, you guys, whether it's in the gym with movement, whether it's lifting with weights, whether it's body composition related to nutrition, whether it's your personal or professional finances, whether it's in your relationship, whatever the case is. Anybody who's ever been in a long-term relationship knows it's not all roses and daisies, all right? We get to certain points and we grow and we continue to grow. Finances, the same thing, all right? So you guys keep that in mind. If you're having a hard time staying on track with your goals, whatever they are, think back why you set them. Ask yourself the question, how am I gonna feel when I achieve them? Put your nose down and keep putting in the work. Remember, consistent efforts will always pay off, you guys. All right, have a great Monday. I'll be here at the gym all day. If you guys get bored and wanna come say hey, come give me some company. We're at CrossFit Ocala. If you wanna give us a call, 352-694-3333. If you like these videos, subscribe to our page. I'm gonna try to keep rolling them out. If you guys have any comments or feedback, let me know. All right, you guys, have a great day.